I have a 13-year-old son who's going to be an 8th grader at Matilaha. He's been in Ojai Unified from kindergarten, and he started up at Summit. So just to be, my kids will not, I don't have any other children. So I won't have kids in the school. I'm consider myself a resident of the Ojai Valley, and I'm concerned about our school district and want parents to have choices. So that's in a nutshell why I'm involved. Summit has been in serving as a public school in Upper Ojai for 108 years. And it was closed after the Thomas Fire, according to the school district at that moment, because of low enrollment. And then they have another list of myriad things. The school had been its own district at one point, like a one-school district is how it began. And I think it was in the 60s. 1964, when the district started the movement to envelop it and make it become part of Ojai Unified, or the Ojai School District, whatever it was called in the 60s. And at that time, the community in Upper Ojai wanted to keep their school as it was, but it was a vote, like a ballot initiative, and so it passed and became part of the district. It's been a beloved school during its entire existence. When my son started there in kindergarten, I heard stories about kids bringing their goats to school, right? Walking to do their presentations and science reports about their goats. Snakes coming into the classroom and kids seeing it under the teacher's desk and everyone going, oh, and we walk out and then a lesson about snakes. I always bragged to my friends that I felt like I was sending my son to a private country school because it was a small school and tight-knit community. We all knew each other, and it's interesting to note that the school had the highest per capita parent involvement consistently of any school in the district, because the parents just all wanted to participate, and it was really conducive to that. I am also one of the parents that represents a certain demographic that our Summit Charter School will be targeting for enrollment, which is out-of-district folks. I actually lived in Piru. Does everybody know where Piru is? Anybody don't know where it is? Piru is out past Fillmore, almost on the LA County line near Lake Piru. It was 45 minutes door to door to drive my son to kindergarten in Upper Ojai. But I had concerns about the schools where I lived, and I felt incredibly blessed and privileged to be able to bring my son to that school in Upper Ojai. And at that time, when students and families approached the district to go to that school and they were out of district, we were welcomed that year. I literally, the principal called me back the same day I emailed, said come on up for a tour, and my son started. I was PTO president for 2 years, and we, the parents, worked to boost enrollment. My one little personal story as PTO president was the school didn't have a kindergarten enrollment sign, and the PTO paid for it, put it up. We got a bunch of kindergartners that year to help boost enrollment. And so that's just a little nutshell about my experience as a parent at Summit. And I really have confidence that with the amazing program that we're putting together, we will be able to draw kids from out of the district, from in the district, who are looking for this type of learning environment. And so the learning environment that we are looking for, so it's a K-8 that we're planning, TK, play-based, emotional learning, project-based, hands-on, flexibility in the classrooms. We do have a handout up on the table that word for word states our mission and vision and gives you an overview. I'm not going to read it to you. And you'll hear snippets of our mission and vision, I think, from all the board members as they talk about what's important to them. But it's, I think, an educational opportunity that is not currently available for public school families in the district. I think that's good for me. And so with that, I am going to introduce Andy Gilman, who is one of our charter board members.
Thank you. I know some of you from different places, of course, and in our past, I went to Topa Topa and then Matilaha and Nordot, and I went to Chaparral here for a little while. Then I went to art school and then graduate school in philosophy. When my 3 kids were younger, we were in open classroom in Ventura, which was at Blanche Reynolds, so it was a parent co-op. So we were working in the classroom and we really loved it there and thought it was great. And then No Child Left Behind was kind of just coming on then. And we could see that we were able to do all these fun things, and we had some oversight, but they were just really happy with us. And we also wanted to grow the school. So it ended at 5th grade, and we wanted to turn it into a K through 8. So we were trying to work with Ventura Unified on the one hand, and on the other hand, somebody brought up this idea. They said, do you understand what a charter school is? And I said, no, I have no idea. So we learned about charter schools, and so we were trying to work first with the district, but on the other hand, we were writing a charter petition. And when we saw pretty clearly that the district wasn't really willing to work with us, we put in the petition, and we actually got a grant from the state to open what's now Ventura Charter School, which is in its 13th year, I believe. Yeah, 13th. And so most of the teachers and most of the parents went to Ventura Charter, which is on the back part of De Anza now on the avenue. So that was about a 2-year job, part-time job on the side that you don't get paid for to start this school. But it was such a blessing, and I learned a lot. So then I served on its board for 5 years, and my kids went through the program, and that was wonderful. Then I worked at Oak Grove School. I was the outreach director and their admissions director, and my youngest child finished at Oak Grove. And what I do now with Agora is adult education primarily, so great books for adults who want to continue their education, and we do panels that we try to touch on complicated subjects where we get all the sides represented. So we just did one, is legal cannabis good for Ojai, at all the sides, and we have one in 2 weeks, what is education for? And like Tiffany's going to be on that panel and things like that. So my interest is not for my kids because they're all adults. My interest is the vibrancy of the valley and having lots of educational opportunities so that we can be sustainable for the next 30 years. But part of that is we have families that are coming here because they like the schools, and being a part of a dynamic school is something I'm always going to want to do. I'll turn it over to Faith.
My name is Faith Megan Mulqueen. I am not on the board, but I am helping to co-create the environmental science and sustainability emphasis and programs that are going to be a part of Summit Charter School. My background is, some of you already know me, but I'll just quickly go through. I have a bachelor's in environmental policy, I have a master's in spiritual psychology, I have a master teaching credential in early childhood education, I'm a certified permaculturist, certified yoga for kids teacher, and I ran and operated and directed Acorn Community Preschool for 4 years here in Ojai, which was primarily a nature-based social emotional support program with an emphasis on child-led emergent curriculum. And our vision for this school, when I found out about it, my heart leapt with joy, and I felt like it was a miracle that this sort of educational opportunity would be possible in Ojai. And it was the first school that I ever felt like I could work at here that was in alignment with my vision and what I know is possible for the best educational approaches and ways that children learn best, and I was willing to do whatever it took to make it happen, and I am here today. And so the school is going to be, the vision is a relationship-based school that is based upon how do we support the developing and deepening of relationships amongst children themselves, each other, parents, teachers, the earth, and our community. And so that's really what we're about. And in terms of, the school will have an emphasis on language acquisition as well as environmental science and sustainability programs. And so I'm just going to share a little bit about the environmental science and sustainability. As many of you know, we have a climate crisis, and the children, currently most children do not have access to any sort of education or tools or skills that will enable them to care for and respect the earth and rehabilitate the earth in the ways that we really and they're really going to need to know how to do. And so part of the program that we envision is incorporating an academic focus, meeting all the California standards while at the same and the science standards, while at the same time having our program be based on children's interests and emergent curriculum. And we have a lot of land at Summit, and there's going to be outdoor classrooms and learning environments that we're going to work with permaculturists and designers to help create. And we're also going to incorporate learning through environmental and social activism and service. So developmentally, children need to feel as though they're making an impact in the world, that they're connected to the earth, and if they don't care about the earth and they're not connected to it, they're not going to be invested in the future of the planet. So it starts developmentally, so whatever is age appropriate, children will be involved in different environmental and social and community projects that are actually where the children will look at an issue in the community or an issue that's important to them, and then they'll use critical thinking and collaboration and communication and leadership skills, and they'll use all of these to help problem solve so that they can become the solution-oriented thinkers and creative and innovative thinkers that you need for the 21st century issues that they're going to be facing. Also, children will be learning about environmental sustainability, and what that means in a nutshell is it's going to incorporate permaculture, it's going to incorporate how do we save water, how do we store water, how do we sink it in the earth, conservation, education, also habitat restoration, soil health, how to grow food, all of the different relationships and systems that exist so that they can go out into the world and take those skills with them and really help the earth and help each other. Yeah. Thanks. I'm excited.
Hi, my name is Nina Newlight, and I first want to thank you all for coming here. I know it's a hot day, and really appreciate your interest in our school and our community school. I am a resident of Ojai. I've lived here for 2 years, and I am an educator. I am a credentialed teacher. I have taught grades PK to college level. I have 10 years of experience. I have a bachelor's degree in Spanish literature, and I have a master's degree from Stanford in learning design technology and a PhD in educational psychology from UCLA. So I am very versed in program development and evaluation, and implementing best practices in learning environments. And so reason why I'm on the board is because my children, who are teenagers now, went to charter schools in Los Angeles, K through 8, and I volunteered there, and I was also just really impressed with charter schools in general. And they went to 3 different charter schools, and when the opportunity presented itself here in Ojai that there could be a charter school, I was like, yes, I'm on board. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the school will look like. And first of all, it's going to be a really exciting and innovative instructional program. And it's going to be focusing on children's intellectual, social, emotional, and physical development. And those 4 areas are going to really be addressed with our curriculum and methodologies. And so we really want students to be collaborators, communicators, critical thinkers, and creators. So key features that have already been touched upon by other members here are that it's relationship-based, play-based, there's a language acquisition component, and a focus on environmental science. we are standards-based, so we are going to be teaching everything that is required for public schools to teach. And we will be teaching, the teachers will be credentialed, and they will be really experts in what they are teaching. So we will have very qualified, highly qualified educators in the classrooms. The other key feature is that they're multi-age classrooms, and that's really important in our design because it allows students to form relationships with other students, for students to take on other roles as leaders, for students to learn what they need to learn when they need to learn it. So a student can be really accessing what the activities and the level of content that student needs to access. So with the multi-grade classrooms, the students will have the same teacher for 2 years. We're going to do looping as well. And our goals are really to nurture these confident, growth-minded learners. And students who are going to be really experiencing learning, and they're going to be guided by teachers to make mistakes and to grow from those mistakes, and to also to work through some challenges in the curriculum. Another goal is for them to build positive relationships with others, and that's we're going to do that through the multi-age classrooms, through the teachers really knowing the students, and through community involvement and parent involvement. Really important.
And peer mentoring as well, and also based on the interests of the children. Research shows children learn best from other children, and so the teachers will be serving as the guides and the provocateurs and the providers of the experiences and the explorations and the experiments, and the children are the ones who are going to be really the discoverers, and they're going to be guiding their learning, and the teachers were going to co-guiding.
Thanks. We're going to have a lot of hands-on activities, inquiry, and projects across the curriculum. And then we are also having a language acquisition program starting with our very youngest learners, and it will be aligned with the world language standards. And I've been a Spanish teacher before, and also have been a parent of children who were taking Spanish in school, and they kept on learning the same thing year after year, and then it was very limited in what they were learning. So what we are also committed to doing is building a systematic program so that students have a sequence of what they've learned before, and then in each grade level. And we're going to be providing instruction that will be multiple times a week, and that is also going to be repeated when the instructor's not there, and students will have opportunity to practice a focus language, which is Spanish, and really committed to having a fun, engaging, and meaningful program. And the goals of our language acquisition program are that students will learn about how language and culture are related, and that they will be motivated to study languages later on and be global citizens. So that is our hope, and let's see. If you have any questions, you can ask now or afterwards on our program. And now we have
There's also, we have a couple of them. We've got a good little overview. This is also Paul Royal who's on the board. Did you want to introduce yourself, Paul?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Paul Royal, and the wife and I moved to this area in '72. We have had, I'll move over here. We've had 6 grandchildren go through Summit, and we heard criticisms earlier this week about the educational level that they were getting at Summit. I must say this, that 3 are now at Nordhoff, and the other 3 have either graduated with a bachelor's or are in the process of picking up a bachelor's degree. So, and we have our good friends, the Loys that live in Upper Ojai. Their 4 kids went through Summit. There's a fire over there. Hopefully it's not Macaulay's.
I was wondering what you guys were looking at. That's what, no, I could see the concern. I was like,
there's a big fire. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, as I was saying, our good friends, the Loys, their 4 kids went through Summit, and 2 are now MDs, and the other 2 also have bachelor's degrees, one from UC Berkeley. So the level of education that is offered, has been offered at Summit, has been outstanding because it touches all phases of what we want. It touches every aspect that a student needs in order to learn, because they're out there, they would do in the garden for food. They'd be working on a botanical garden that taught them about planting plants that were arid resistant. They would go on outstanding field trips overnight to Catalina Island. And I know a lot of these same concepts with the multi-grade, we're talking about a TK through 1 and a 2-3 and a 4-5, and we're going to combine 2 grades at a time, and we think that will enhance the learning of the students at the school. My background, I'm not elementary, but with 6 grandkids there, I would sub there probably about 6 times a year, and when I did the last few years, it was open to 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Just phenomenal. The kids were excited, small class size, outstanding teacher, Mrs. Usher, who's now teaches down here in the district, but it was a great learning experience for the kids and a good one for me. My background, I have a bachelor's in business ed. From that, I got a lifetime credential to teach high school business economics, master's degree in secondary ed, admin credential. So I'm not really an elementary educator, although I love working with the elementary kids, and I think this is a phenomenal chance. John Dewey, probably our most famous educator, late 1800s, early 20th century, he said if we teach our kids today the same way we taught them yesterday, they will fail tomorrow. And as an American, as you know, the reason our economy is so dynamic is because of the free enterprise system. And the backbone of free enterprise is choice, which is competition. We want to give parents choice. If you have one school as a monopoly, there's no strain. I got to be careful what I say in front of the board. But there's nobody you can really compete with for excellence. And competition drives excellence. We want to be that choice. We want to lift the level of Ojai Unified, but also make sure our charter schools offer the very best to all of your parents. So thank you.
yes.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
So we're really interested in this. We've been on the waiting list for charter consistently at 40 for many years.
Which charter school?
Yeah.
Which one?
Ventura Charter.
Oh, you
have
have
40 on the list every year since our kids could have been.
Oh, yeah.
And so we don't feel like we have a choice. So my question is what is the criteria to let students in? And the second question is how are you pooling teachers? Like, where are you getting them?
I can answer the first. The first one is that.
Do a timeout.
Yeah.
Cassandra, can you say the second question again?
Where
are
are
we getting
teachers
the
coming
teachers?
from?
So charter schools are like any other public school in that you basically you take all the students who apply as long as there's room, and then after that, if there's more interest than room, then it's a strict lottery system. So unfortunately that you're on the waiting list means there's much more interest than space.
Yeah, I feel like
But
there's a lot of
we-
interest, but like who gets in first?
Well,
Well, so like in the charter school case, it starts off the siblings have a priority. They'll have some ranking like
But in
that.
year
First,
one.
Unified, yeah.
It was
Ojai
just
Unified.
first come and then lottery. The lottery.
So, but like, will everyone's name go on a list the first year, or are you going to take people that's because at charter they take the people who are around the school first?
Let me
Yeah,
answer
so-
that.
district.
and so introduce yourself.
Yeah, my
Thea,
name
and
is
go.
Thea. I'm sorry. Last but not least, I'm the president
and
of
Teresa.
the
One more over here.
Oh, and Teresa. I forgot if Teresa didn't get introduced either. Let me answer your question really quick. So it would be an Ojai Unified School District school. So the reason you're not getting into Ventura Charter is you are not living in Ventura Unified, I'm assuming, within the boundaries.
away.
Dang it. So if you're within the district, you're going to be higher up on the list. So as
be
us
the
serving
first pool.
Ojai Unified School District, you would be higher up. Now it depends on where we get the site. We're targeting the Summit site to help support the program because it is language acquisition. We need the access to that native Spanish-speaking population as well as the population that doesn't know Spanish. That's when you combine those two. That's when amazing things happen. But if we're at Summit, how it works is you usually serve the students that the neighborhood school would have served first, then Ojai Unified School District, then siblings, but those things aren't finalized, but that's usually how it works. So that answers that question.
Okay.
So my name is Thea. I live in Upper Ojai. I was at Summit before it closed, and I couldn't find a good school to go to after that. I couldn't find one that offered me the things I was looking for, so I decided to try to make a school that I was looking for because I really saw a hole. And it wasn't just me. The more I started talking to parents and going to Ventura Charter, and I had no chance of getting in, and going to Mupu and seeing that it's full, or going to Sunset and seeing you had to get in there before 6th grade or you had no chance, it really made me angry that I didn't have any choices because I couldn't access the resources. So they're obviously were not meeting student needs, and that is why I'm here today doing all of this work, just to make resources available to public school students that they should have. So and this is Teresa Zamora. She's also on the board. She was with us at Summit as well.
I'm just a parent. I have a 7-year-old. I have 4 children. One's 25, the other one's 24, so they're done. A 7-year-old and my 2-year-old will be definitely going to charter school. I love the program that we are building, that I'm being part of, which I'm very thankful. And one of the reasons that I got involved in all this, and I just love the whole idea of having the charter school here in Ojai, is I saw how much it affected my son once that school was closed. And being in smaller groups, definitely it's a win-win for the kids, I believe. And I really think it's a wonderful thing, being just up in the country and being surrounded by nature for the kids. I think many kids can benefit from it.
Does anybody else have any?
Yeah, that's our
questions?
complete
I just
board.
wanted
So
to
yeah,
share-
questions. Do you want to field? Or?
Nobody answered my
The
second
teaching.
question.
Where are teachers coming from?
Teachers. Teachers will come to a school that is innovative, that
They have to be
is
credentialed.
Yes.
Like we'll be putting out job descriptions.
Same
for
way on
teachers.
Join, like other people cultivate teachers. There'll be a process for applications, and we're going to making sure that they align with our philosophies. We won't be part of the school district, so we're going to have control over the teachers that we bring on board. So that will allow us flexibility. Does that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Yes.
I don't know if this is true, but I've heard it's very hard to get teachers who are bilingual, who can do immersion Spanish, who are available. Is that true? And how, I mean, it's kind of the same question.
Do you want to speak?
Sure. So it depends on the program. We will definitely get a qualified teacher to teach the language portion of our program. And so we'll make sure they're qualified. And
Well,
there are a
they're
lot.
not.
It's a B-clad to teach if they're speaking Spanish depends on like in a bilingual program. Ours is not
It's
going
not
to
a
be
bilingual
we're not
program.
doing a
Okay.
dual immersion.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
we've
it will just be a
discussed-
Spanish
It would just be a
focus.
component. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was
We
no.
discussed a dual immersion program, and then we were told that it can be really challenging. And with starting a brand new charter, there's enough kind of challenges and things to handle at the beginning that we felt
So what percent would be in Spanish? I mean, that's almost
we're so I think
It's
this
being developed.
It's being developed. So just so you know, we haven't submitted the final document to the district yet. Our team is in the process of writing that document, and so those are great questions that are part of our developing.
I would just, hi, my name is Jessica Mendiola. I live also in Upper Ojai, and I just want to push back on that a little bit because I know just off the top of my head already 3 early education instructors who are bicultural and bilingual who are working in Oxnard and working in Ventura because there aren't opportunities here in Ojai. It would be an amazing opportunity to kind of harness the assets and resources that we have here in town, which exist. And I'm looking around, and unfortunately, I see, 1, 2, and that's maybe 3. But it's about, really engaging our community and making sure. But just being really thoughtful about who's represented and how we're communicating this opportunity, and we can do it. It's not that there aren't people available. It's just we have to be intentional and thoughtful about doing it.
Absolutely. So if I can respond, part of what we're trying to do also is gauge interest in the community, like you guys being here, but all the promoting that we will do when we submit and we start the process will be exactly what you said, is to reach out as far as we can, because that's our interest, is to make something that's actually different and interesting. So that's our goal.
And high quality, accessible, free public education.
And just to be clear too, and then your question, so we are the small founding board, and that board will be expanding. So we will be looking for more board members and building a parent council as part of the charter that will be advising on all issues as they arise, and that will be built into the charter and how it's governed.
Can I say one last thing, and then I think the biggest benefit of a charter school is that the school has its own board of directors. So that means that's fundamental. So you don't have a board that is managing many schools. It's this group and then the group that's going to expand finally. So you can work really directly with parents and you can make changes as needed. So I think you lose a whole level of bureaucracy, so that saves money, and you have direct influence.
And really quickly, because I feel like too we're making an assumption that maybe lots of people are familiar with what the fundamentals of what a charter school is. So a charter school is a free public school that is governed by state California education law. And what it means is that we write a document, and that charter document basically governs how the school is run. It lays out the curriculum, it lays out our goals, how we'll assess those goals, how if we're not meeting our goals, how we're going to shift things to correct to meet those goals. It lays out how the board runs, it lays out how the parent council runs, it lays out how we work with teachers. Will teachers be unionized or won't they be? Those things we all lay out in that charter document. That gets presented to our local school district for review and hopefully approval. If the local school district does not approve it, we have an option of taking it to the county office of education. If they don't approve it, we have the option of going to the state.
So how long do you think that process
So
would
we're
take
on
if
a
you have to go all the way to the state?
We're shooting for fall 2020 to be open.
Yeah.
So our timeline is working with that in mind.
Where are you now? At what stage in this process are you at?
So we have obtained a lawyer, we have a back office provider identified, we are working through the charter curriculum, we have our philosophy, we have our vision, so now we just need to really detail out exactly the logistics of the day-to-day education program. The charter document itself is, the part that we write is almost 100 pages. So you have to put every detail in there on what you're projecting. Alana's nodding her head because she's helped write one before.
Yeah.
Every detail in there that you are expecting to happen, so they feel like you are really setting yourself up for success. So while we're doing that, we're trying to also do outreach. So that's why you see us doing things simultaneously. because we need the people interested before the charter is actually completed. We have to happen together.
And we expect to be delivering the charter petition to the school district before October.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and then and when you deliver that to them, what happens?
It triggers a timeline that they then have to schedule a public hearing at a particular date that they name, where there will be a public hearing here, or maybe in Chaparral Auditorium, to discuss the charter and to hear from community about it and to decide what they're going to do.
Our timeline though has a buffer in there so that if they decide to reject it, then we would have time to appeal to the county.
Okay.
But
I'm wondering if you are the person that would be interested in talking to community about curriculum ideas and enrichment programs. I'm thinking of what you said about emotional learning. You said that because that to me is such a backbone. It starts at birth. I'm an infant toddler specialist, and I am the person who created the Nantucket Nurturing Center in Oakview in 2007.
Did you know that Jessica here is the one that created the describe your program? It's like an outreach.
I'm launching our first Spanish language program at Secure Beginning.
Secure Beginning.
I've taught childbirth classes at Nantucket.
That's pretty exciting.
It's amazing. That's
I
fabulous.
started that because I had promised Nana I would make sure that her 501c3 would not die. Anyway, I really would like to be able to assist in the nurturing, using that word, of elementary school children who have to come from a place of understanding about a humanistic view of the world. We saw atrocious things happening at Nordhoff last year, and the call for leadership skills and civic education, blah, blah, blah. Those are things that can have input, but to build a child from a very young age with emotional intelligence takes a certain kind of empathy building, and there's some wonderful programs with 0 to 2 years involved in groups of empathy.
Totally agree with you, and that's why we dialed it down to a relationship-based K through 8. So it doesn't stop at 5th grade; it goes all the way up to middle school. And the relationships that these kids, the children, are making with each other, other age groups, the teachers, the parents, the families, the community, that is what's going to create that safe and open learning environment that's going to allow the academic learning to go even deeper than it's going. And the nurturing is so important. It doesn't just stop at 3. It doesn't just stop at 5 or even 13. It has to continue. So thank you. Yeah. Anybody? Sushila?
I have 2 questions. I live in Santa Paula, and I'm a Waldorf teacher, but I'm not state credentialed. So but I'm a writer, and my background is video production. But my questions are, as a charter, are you allowed to govern your own class sizes? Like intentionally set them and keep it set at a certain limit? What will that limit be? And will you have some kind of a homeschool track program or a flexible time where the children can take extended holidays for family learning and things like that?
Do you want to answer that? Or?
I'm sorry.
Okay, go, Thea.
Sorry, I'm going to answer that. The class size is going to depend on the financial piece of it when that gets completed, so that isn't finalized yet. You would find it hard to believe that most schools do not have less than 300 kids. So what we're proposing is, to some people, kind of outrageous to have 140 kids K through 8. People are like, what? So I had to really look at how to be innovative on how to make it viable financially and how we're going to support it. I think that the class sizes will remain small. They're going to be on the smaller side, and we're projecting right now to have 12 and 12 together. So example, 2nd and 3rd grade would be combined, right? And it would be 12 and 12 would be 20 kids in a class. That's the projection right now, but the financial piece has to come in and kind of really hold it up, because if our charter isn't financially viable, then it won't be approved. So that's important for that. So I can have more information for you that later.
Okay, and then regarding the flex time or the homeschool?
Yes, homeschool is going to be part of our charter, and we are thinking of having it like so that there's be enrichment classes after school that everybody could participate in, so homeschool kids could have opportunity for that socialization. our all-day kids, if they have to stay while their parents are at work, could have an opportunity to do something like, extra to learn woodworking or sewing or handwork or anything like that. And there also will be a distance learning program, we hope, in the future.
So I guess I have a quick, I'm a parent.
Yes, I know you.
Yes, they know. Anyway, and I'm apparently here.
Apparently. Sorry.
That was the joke.
I know.
Do you need to have a certain amount of parents signed up for this to make this application?
Yes, we do. Okay, so it's a little tricky. We can start the club, and we're talking about the timeline. We can start that timeline with either half of the projected student enrollment signatures or half the number of teachers to sign. So because this is such a huge undertaking and the timeline is so quick, our goal is to start with the teacher signatures, and then when our charter is there, we go around and get people signed up, so everything is happening concurrently. So by November, there's also another deadline there. In order to get a public school site, you have to have 87 in Ojai district kids.
And how many teachers, what's half of what number do you have to have signed?
Yeah, I would think that'd be about 4 or 5. Because it's your full-time teachers. Those won't be your aides or helping out in the class.
We're talking about 10 full-time teachers.
Yeah, most likely.
No, not 10.
Well,
More like 8.
No, because they're combined.
Right, but there's going to be a Spanish teacher. Yeah, it's not quite. So about
Just
that.
give me some idea. That's interesting to hear.
And also, just to clarify, the question about the homeschool program too. So there is a regular full day, 5-day-a-week classroom structure. And then with a homeschool option component and distance learning online optional component.
But what about if you want to take your kids for 3 days on a trip?
I don't think a school can tell a kid they can't.
No, but I mean,
so an
they're
independent
getting
study,
You
that's
work it
actually 5 days. There's educational rules around
Yeah,
that.
unfortunately, we'd still be under the same rules that every other public school, so we would only get funding through ADA. So you can go on your trip, but you'd have to do independent study or be gone for a minimum of 5 days. So it's the same rules that apply to every other public school in the state.
In terms of attendance.
Yes, Same. We get the same funding. We just bypass the district, basically.
When can we sign up?
Right over there.
We did already.
Yeah.
But does that mean I just signed up for school, or does that mean you put me on a list?
You're on the info list. You'll get everything that's going to come out.
It's smart to get the teachers lined up first because they will track.
Yes, that's true. Right, and we've had quite a few teachers. Like Jessica was saying, there are underemployed teachers here that are qualified to teach at this school or believe in this philosophy. So we feel pretty confident that we can be able to.
I live here and I teach
Yeah,
all
one
the way
right
down
here.
there.
Yeah.
How I can use for a charter school all the way down there because I believe in it so much that I will not, compromise my happiness or my child's happiness. So we drive together, my daughter and I.
How can parents? How can we help?
Yay! Showing up is so important. I just want to tell you that I have been in this boardroom by myself many times, and then with board members where they have told me there is no need for a K-8 that has environmental science, sustainability, or language acquisition. Nobody else agrees with you. So just to have you present in the board meetings and showing up at events is going to make a huge difference. Because me finding you, the process, that's difficult. Just getting these people together, difficult. So just showing up and being a part of it is going to be epic.
Just to say, so when the meetings come, where they're going to talk about it and they're going to deliberate, that's when we get as many interested people as we can in the boardroom showing that support. So you'll all get called on.
And you do have an opportunity before the board meeting to speak.
Yeah.
And you can say, this is the kind of school I want for my child.
And I would say that today, when you write your name down, make sure we meet you and know your name. And you can indicate that you want to be a part of a parent council, or, we may want people to review drafts of the charter and get parents who want to be really hands-on. So let us know that today like you are, and we'll hook you up and get you in.
And please help spread the word.
Yeah.
And let other people know, because that's also vital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
This might have been asked before, but I'm just curious, what are the main objections by the district to, because I mean, that's also an important point to consider.
It is.
They're not, they do have valid points, so I'm curious about what that point
The
of view
first
is.
main objection is money. So, for example, if an OUSD student goes to the charter, their ADA follows them to the charter. So the first objection is funding goes basically away from the school. That's the first thing. Do you
But wouldn't
understand?
that be the case even if Summit was just a regular public school, because money goes per student head right to each school?
It does, but what happens is, let's say OUSD just said, let's open Summit again. The money would go here first.
And then they...
But the money wouldn't go here, it would go right to the
want.
charter.
Okay.
So that's the first typical
Okay.
piece.
So,
And
so the money is actually at our school?
Yeah.
Yes. At our
And the
school,
board
at our
decides
school.
how that money's spent at that site.
Say that
There's
again?
no
If it's an
other.
independent.
I don't think we're pursuing anything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Just that we're clear on that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. But then what you'll hear is teachers' unions won't like it because it will make the public teacher union, in a way, there's a competitive objection, right, that you brought up. That's not liked. But yeah, generally it's money.
Okay.
Isn't it? There's also a school that's there now. It's albeit a private one, Elementary Sky. Which
Yep.
They have a relationship.
But it's a non-academic program.
No, it's not a school. It's
Right.
an enrichment program.
No, but
for
your point though,
homeschool
someone is
kids.
there and
It does
they're
serve
leasing the
certain
land.
parents.
Well, it
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
for homeschool.
From LA.
You're right.
Right, but
Is
you
there
also
such a
pay
thing
for
as magnet schools anymore?
There are. That would,
My daughter went to in
Yep.
LA in the 80s.
in Ventura there still are right now.
And parents tried to get something like that happening at Summit over the years, and the district wasn't supportive.
So why would they support charter if they didn't support magnet?
Well, so the magnet is something that the district would create a magnet school,
Right.
and there wasn't the
Nobody
appetite
wanted
for
to do
that.
that.
So this is, my understanding is that when they're reviewing, they have a specific matrix that they review and look at the charter document to check the boxes, and it's all based around success and feasibility. And so we don't know the reasons why they didn't want to do a magnet, but they have a strict matrix as to whether or not they're going to approve a charter or not, that they're held accountable for.
It actually takes a lot of will to make a magnet school because you have to make a school that's attractive to get inter-district people to want to go. Like Data would be an example, or Foothill, and then both in Ventura. Yeah.
Is the charter decided by the district?
First, you go to your local district with your document. They can approve it or deny it. They could also come back to you with changes. That's something they can do. But if they deny it, we can then appeal to the county, which is what Ventura Charter did. And then if the county can do the same thing, approve or deny, or come back to you with requested changes, then you can go to the state after that.
And what's it reading?
What's the what?
What's it reading so far? Is it reading?
I will tell you this. Normally, in a declining enrollment city, you would be just like, right? They would never approve you. But this is Ojai.
Yeah.
This place is different. You can actually make things happen that you wouldn't have happened in other
That's true.
places. So I've been trying to, because relationships are develop relationships with the board members so they understand why we're pursuing this. And we actually show that there's people that are interested in other people. I feel really good about our chances of
Do charter schools provide busing, transportation for people in the
That's a good question.
Yes,
We can if we have enough students.
Enough students, and it comes down to finances again.
Yeah,
right?
Right. And what about like people with IEPs? Does charter
They
provide-
have to.
They have to.
Yep.
Okay.
Just like any
Same
school.
laws as California State.
And support to English. So that's no different. There's
No, exactly the same.
And like disability, students with disabilities, different, all, you have to take every kid that wants to come based on capacity. Any other questions?
Thank you for all of your
Yeah, so cool.
input.
So there